Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United have drawn Aston Villa at home in the third round of the FA Cup. It will be a tasty clash. The manager of Aston Villa is Steven Gerrard. Steven Gerrard has enjoyed a good start to his managerial career at Aston Villa. So far he's managed 4 games and he's won 3 games out of 4. Steven Gerrard also did well when he managed Rangers. He won the Scottish Premiership with Rangers. Before Steven Gerrard, Aston Villa had Dean Smith. They sacked Dean Smith earlier on this season. And Aston Villa have got some good players in their team. Obviously they've got Leon Bailey. He's made an impact at Aston Villa. I think they got Leon Bailey last summer. Aston Villa have also got Danny Ings. They got Danny Ings from Southampton. He's made an impact. They've also got Ollie Watkins. He's very, very good. They've got Trezeguet. They've also got El Ghazi. They've got Douglas Luiz, John McGinn, Buendia. They've also got Matt Targett, Matty Cash, Tyrone Mings. He's a very, very good centre-half. They've got Bertrand Traore. So they are quite a few of the players that Aston Villa have got. Aston Villa have won the FA Cup around 7 times. Aston Villa beat us at Old Trafford in the league earlier on this season 1-0, and that was Aston Villa's first win at Old Trafford since 2009. Manchester United have won the FA Cup 12 times. Anyway, Ralph Rangnick, he recently won his first game in charge of Manchester United because Manchester United beat Crystal Palace 1-0 thanks to a stunning goal from Fred late on. It was a good performance against Crystal Palace. Ralph Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. Rangnick has been given a 100 million transfer budget for January. Rangnick wants Amadou Haidara as his first signing at Man United. Amadou Haidara has a £33 million release clause. Of course, Rangnick knows the player well because Rangnick used to manage RB Leipzig. Revert back to last week, the Manchester Evening News said that Rangnick wants a Timo Werner reunion at Man United, and there's a few other players he wants. Before Manchester United, Ralph Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Now, yesterday I gave you the news on Chris Armas. Reports from America said that Chris Armas is set to join the coaching staff at Manchester United following the arrival of Ralph Rangnick. Chris Armas will be announced in the next few days. I don't really know much about him, revert back to what I mentioned yesterday, but I know before he managed Toronto FC and before he managed New York Red Bulls. I think he's also adding someone else to the coaching staff. Ralph Rangnick is interested in taking the Man United job on a permanent basis. I can assure that Manchester United will get a permanent manager at the end of the season. Pochettino, he's been mentioned a lot. Revert back to the other week, Roberto Mancini was mentioned. Eric Ten Hag was mentioned earlier on in the season, and Brendan Rodgers has also been mentioned before. Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. Of course, Man United sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Man United finished 7th under the David Moyes era. That's the lowest we've finished in the Premier League era. Then Manchester United sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. Then Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he won 3 trophies in his first season. And the 3 trophies he won was the Europa League, the EFL Cup and the Charity Shield. The reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the top players and he had bad disputes with the board because the board weren't recommending the players that he wanted to recommend in. And over 2 weeks ago now, Manchester United sacked Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. When Solskjaer got sacked, he gave a farewell interview and he got emotional in that farewell interview, which is obviously understandable because Solskjaer adores the club and Solskjaer was part of the club for a long time. You know, he was Manchester United manager for almost 3 years and he enjoyed 11 years as a player for Man United. So that's almost 14 years in total. Despite Manchester United sacking Solskjaer over 2 weeks ago, all United fans still adore him and they are still chanting his name. It's obviously reflecting on what he did for the club. But Manchester United certainly made the right decision sacking Solskjaer because Solskjaer could not take this team any further. To be honest with you, I don't think Man United wanted to sack Solskjaer, but they had no choice but to sack him in the end. You know, revert back to the last few months of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure. The performances were really, really bad and the results were bad to go with the performances. But reflecting on the poor performances, not all of the blame stemmed from Ole. Yes, he was accountable for some things, you know, his tactics and his team selections were questioned a lot, but there was also players that had to take responsibility for those poor performances as well. You know, Manchester United paid Solskjaer around $7.5 million to sack him because, revert back to last summer, he signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Manchester United should have never give Solskjaer that contract. Because I knew for a long time that he wasn't the long-term manager for Man United. You know, Solskjaer has no proven pedigree as a manager. The clubs he's managed in his managerial career. Obviously, he managed Manchester United's reserve team. He managed Cardiff. he only enjoyed a short tenure at Cardiff. The reason he got sacked from Cardiff is because he got them relegated. He enjoyed 2 spells at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And of course, he managed Manchester United's senior squad. So there you go. Solskjaer had a proven pedigree when he was a Man United player, because he won a lot of trophies when he was a player for Man United. And his most iconic moment as a player was when he scored the winning goal at the Nou Camp back in 1999. Because obviously Solskjaer won the club the treble, and that is the club's greatest achievement. You know, this season was Solskjaer's 3rd full season, you know, when he was Man United manager. And I did say at the start of this season, when he was still United manager, that this season was going to be massive for him. Plus the pressure was on him as well. Reflecting on the summer transfer window Man United had. Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window. We made 4 signings last summer. 3 of them 4 signings were major signings. Man United spent around £141 million. When Ollie was United manager, he enjoyed like 5 transfer windows, and Manchester United spent over 400 million under Solskjaer. And revert back to last summer as well, when Solskjaer was Man United manager, he received very strong backing from the board. Obviously the Glazers backed him, Ed Woodward backed him. As far as I'm aware, Ed Woodward's leaving Manchester United. Revert back to April. It got announced that Woodward will be leaving Man United. That's when that European Super League came into the equation. But earlier on this season, it actually said Woodward was in talks to stay at Man United under a new role. Woodward has had a 16-year association with the club, and John Murtaugh, our director of football, also backed Solskjaer, and Darren Fletcher backed him. Solskjaer did not win a trophy when he was Man United manager, and he wasn't capable of winning trophies as a manager. Manchester United have not won a trophy since 2017. I'm hoping Man United can win a trophy this season under Ralph Rangnick. Rangnick's capable of winning trophies. Revert back to Ollie though, you know, the expectations were far too high for him to exceed as United manager. And he was basically in a position that he shouldn't have ever been in. Ollie knew when he'd taken over at Manchester United that it was going to be a massive job, not only a massive job, a difficult job as well. Despite him knowing the club through thick and thin, because Solskjaer was managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. Solskjaer did get appointed in as the interim manager back in December 2018. He was the interim manager for 3 months, and he did well as the interim manager, so the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. And then when he got the job permanently, that's when it all went wrong, didn't it? Solskjaer signed 14 players when he was United manager. He also got rid of a lot of players as well. He loaned players out and he got rid of players permanently. I also like the way he developed the youth when he was United manager, Solskjaer. In Solskjaer's first full season, got Man United to 3 semi-finals, got Man United a 3rd place finish. Then in his second full season, got us to the Carabao Cup semi-final, got us to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and got us to the Europa League final. That was his first major final when he was Man United manager, but unfortunately didn't win it. Got us a 2nd place finish last season, and when Man United had Solskjaer, Manchester United went 29 games unbeaten away from home in the Premier League. But Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired, which obviously it has done. And we've got to all accept that we're not going to be the team we was under Ferguson, because no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did. Not in my lifetime anyway. You know, Ferguson brought success to Manchester United because he won 30 odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. So that just indicates that it does take some managers time to settle in. Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United for around 26 years. So reflecting on that, he was a very long-serving manager. Before Ferguson, Man United weren't that good, I don't think we was that good under Ron Atkinson, weren't that good under Wilf McGuinness. And we weren't that good under Franco Farrell. We actually got relegated under Franco Farrell back in the 70s, which is 40 odd years ago now. Manchester United, since Ferguson, must have spent over £1 billion. And we must have brought a good 40 odd players in now since Ferguson retired. Manchester United have got a good squad. And we are now going to get the best out of these group of players. Obviously now that we've got Ralph Rangnick. Look who we've got. We've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo played against Crystal Palace recently. He had his chances, but he couldn't convert them, unfortunately. In periods of that game against Crystal Palace, Ronaldo was anonymous. Ronaldo was actually a major doubt for the game against Crystal Palace because it said he suffered a knee issue when he was celebrating in the 3-2 win over Arsenal. Yes, Ronaldo did get a brace against Arsenal last week, including the winner from the penalty. Ronaldo now has 801 goals in his career. He's got 12 goals in all competitions since he re-signed for Man United. And he's got back-to-back awards as well since he re-signed, because revert back to October, he got named Player of the Month. And revert back to September, he got named Premier League Player of the Month. Ronaldo has won over 30 major trophies in his playing career, including 5 Ballon d'Ors. Ronaldo's got a contract with Man United till 2023. There's an option of a further year. He's the highest earner at Man United because he receives $480,000 a week. Ronaldo wears the number 7 shirt, and we got him for around 19.8 million with add-ons included. Jadon Sancho certainly didn't enjoy a good start to his Man United career, but Sancho's now starting to settle in, which is good news from a Man United perspective. Sancho played against Crystal Palace recently. He was fantastic in the first half, but faded away in the second half. Weren't too bad against Arsenal last week. Sancho played very well against Chelsea and Villarreal because he scored in both of them games. Sancho scored 2 goals for the club so far. Revert back to when Man United had Solskjaer. Man United could not get the best out of Sancho because obviously Solskjaer was persistently playing him out of position. And there again, there was quite a few games Sancho didn't even play in when we had Solskjaer. Manchester United got Sancho for 78 million with add-ons included. Man United paid around 73 million up front. He's got a contract with Man United until June 2026. There's an option of a further year. Mason Greenwood, he's also a talented player as well. Greenwood recently came on against Crystal Palace and he got the assist for the Fred goal. Greenwood didn't play for a while because he was out with COVID. I think Greenwood scored 4 goals in the league so far this season. He scored a stunning goal in the 4-2 defeat to Leicester earlier on this season. When Greenwood starts for Man United, most of the time he starts on the right wing. There again in the 2-0 defeat to City earlier on this season, Greenwood started up top alongside Ronaldo. Quite clearly the Greenwood-Ronaldo partnership didn't work. At one point, Greenwood went a while without scoring, but he's been a revelation since he broke into our senior squad. Greenwood made his senior debut for Man United back in 2019. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and last season Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract. Marcus Rashford. He's a good player overall, but there's certainly aspects of Marcus Rashford's game that needs to improve. I thought Rashford weren't that good against Palace recently. He made some good runs in the game and his movement was good at times, but his decision making was very, very poor. Rashford weren't that good against Arsenal, but he still managed to get an assist in that game. He was good against Chelsea earlier on in the season in the second half, but he weren't that good in the first half. At one point, Rashford was out with a shoulder injury for a while, and at one point he had to have an operation on his shoulder. Rashford's been part of the club for a long time. He's been a Man United player since the age of 7. He's been in Man United's senior squad since 2016. So he's been in our senior squad now for a good 5.5 years, and he's got a contract with Man United until 2023. Edison Cavani, he's also a good player as well. Cavani's not available at the moment. He's out with injury. He had an injury earlier on this season, did Edison Cavani. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. I'm hearing that Cavani's interested in making a move to Barcelona next year. Cavani's got under a year left on his contract. It was back in May he signed that 1-year contract extension. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season is his second full season at Man United. Anthony Elanga, he looks a good asset for the first team squad. Anthony Elanga recently came on against Crystal Palace, and he's in contention to play against Young Boys tomorrow night. I haven't had a great deal of a perception on Elanga though, because he's hardly played in the first team. He played in the final game of last season against Wolves when we won 2-1. He scored in that game. Bruno Fernandez, obviously, he's an exceptional player. Fernandez, though, has had poor games this season. Fernandez obviously played against Crystal Palace recently. He had his chances, but he couldn't convert them. Obviously played against Arsenal last week. He scored in that game. The build-up to the Fernandez goal against Arsenal was fantastic. Lovely flick from Fred to find Fernandez in the box. Fernandez, of course, played against Chelsea not so long ago. Fernandez was good defensively in that game, but lacked the attacking intent. Fernandez starts the vast majority of Manchester United's games, so reflecting on that, he will become fatigued. He's certainly one of our best players, and he's one of the best signings we've made since Fergie retired. You know, Fernandez has been a Manchester United player for almost 2 years now. We got Fernandez from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Revert back to earlier on this season, Bruno Fernandez said that he wants to stay at Man United. And when he first came to Man United, he said, "I've come to Manchester to win trophies." He has got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. Revert back to earlier on this season, there was talks of Fernandez extending his contract. That's obviously when Man United had Solskjaer. Donny van de Beek, you know, he's also a good player as well. Haven't had a great deal of a perception on him though at Man United, because quite clearly he's not been given enough opportunities. I think there's a very good chance that Van der Beek will leave in January. I think the only way he will be persuaded to stay is if he gets the opportunities he's been demanding under Ralph Rangnick, because revert back to when Man United had Solskjaer, Van der Beek got nowhere near enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, Van der Beek was very, very frustrated. You know, Van der Beek didn't start against Crystal Palace recently, but he did come on. I thought he would have started against Crystal Palace. I think he'll start tomorrow against Young Boys, Van der Beek. I think it'll be him alongside Matic in centre defensive midfield. You know, Van der Beek has only scored 2 goals for the club, and he's been at Manchester United for over a year and a half now. And this season is his second full season at Man United. You know, Man United got Van der Beek for 40 million, with add-ons included. He's got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further year, and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. So there you go. Fred. He's really impressed me in his last 3 games. You know, Fred was very, very good against Crystal Palace. Obviously scored the stunning goal late on. It wasn't only his goal though why his performance was good, you know. Also his movement was good in the game. He kept the ball well. He got into very good positions. And he played some sublime passes. You know, Fred played well against Arsenal last week. You know, he won the penalty in that game because he got brought down by Odegaard, and he also got an assist in the game. And in the second half against Chelsea not so long ago, Fred played very, very well. If you do remember rightly, he squandered a chance that came from a mistake from Mendy. I'm hoping that Fred can persist with these good performances, and then my perceptions will start to change on Fred and say, you know what, he is a good player. I don't think he's a good player overall for Man United because he's endured a lot of bad games. But under Carrick and obviously now under Ralph Rangnick, you know, we're getting the best out of Fred. Manchester United got Fred for 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk quite a few years ago now. Man United have also got Paul Pogba. That's a very, very good player as well. Not only a good player, he's an imperative player. Pogba's not available at the moment. He's out with a thigh injury. Pogba's out for the rest of the year with this thigh injury. Pogba got the thigh injury in France training earlier on in the season. But revert back towards the start of the season when Pogba was fit, he did well because, you know, he got 7 assists in the league. He produced good performances for Man United in the last couple of months of last season. But at one point last season, he was out with a thigh injury for a while, and he has sustained some ankle injuries at Man United. Our second choice fullbacks have been performing well recently, and I've been very, very impressed with Alex Telles. You know, Telles has started our last 4 games. Telles was good in our last game against Crystal Palace. You know, he provided width and energy to Man United's attacks. And he had some good chances in the game. One of the chances he had hit the crossbar from the free kick. Telles is undroppable at the moment. The only reason Telles has started our last 4 games is because Luke Shaw's not been available, because Luke Shaw's been out with a concussion. Earlier on this season, Telles had an injury. Manchester United got Telles for 15.4 million with add-ons included. The reason we brought Telles in was to provide competition for Luke Shaw. Telles is in contention to play against Young Boys tomorrow. Diego Dalot, he's obviously started our last 2 games. I hope he starts against Young Boys. It could be Bissaka that starts, but I hope it's Dalot that starts. Dalot obviously played against Arsenal last week because Bissaka wasn't available. Bissaka had a hand injury. Dalot is our backup right back to Bissaka. Last season Dalot enjoyed a loan spell with AC Milan, so reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto. Man United paid around £19 million for him. I think our first choice fullbacks have been disappointing in a lot of games this season. Well, I've got to say Luke Shaw's been terrible this season when he has been fit. And I'm shocked in that aspect because last season Luke Shaw was absolutely superb. I'm sure at some point Luke Shaw will regain his form. And as for Wan-Bissaka, he's had good games this season, he's had poor games as well. Bissaka is good defensively, but the attacking side of his game is not so good. Bissaka was poor against Chelsea. That's the last game he played. His positioning was poor. And obviously he gave the penalty away in that game against Chelsea because he did foul Thiago Silva in the 6-yard box. We've got Eric Bailly. That's a good centre-half as well. I think Bailly will start tomorrow against Young Boys. The last game Bailly played was the 1-1 draw with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. He only played in that game, though, because Maguire was suspended. We've got Raphael Varane. That's also a very, very good centre-half as well, but he's not available at the moment. He's out with a hamstring injury. I think he's close to returning. Varane's already endured 2 injuries since he signed for the club, because revert back to earlier on this season, Varane had a groin injury, and he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. And you've got David De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper. De Gea's done really, really well this season. So anyway, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.